Welcome to Meet the Hawkeye. I'm your host, AJ Reisetter, and on this show, I sit down with some of the greatest student athletes on campus. These athletes are great on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. On Meet the Hawkeye, we highlight it all to give you an exclusive look at what it's like being a student athlete at the University of Iowa. Buckle up for tons of laughs and untold stories of your favorite Hawkeyes. It's Meet the Hawkeye with AJ Reisetter on DI-TV. And today we have the perfect person to kick off the first season of Meet the Hawkeye. She's a 4-time preseason Big Ten player to watch, a 3-time academic All-Big Ten recipient, a Big Ten Distinguished Scholar, a 2020-2021 Big Ten Tournament champion, and the captain of a team who is off to its best start since 2019, Samantha Cary. Sam, I can't thank you enough for being our first guest on the show. I mean, you guys are off to an incredible start. What a great story you guys have been. Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't be more proud of the team than we are right now. It's been a journey over my Iowa career, and looking back, you said it's our best start since 2019, and that was my freshman year. Wow. So for that to be my first year on campus and have a great year that we did that year and kind of grow through the journey that we have been. If you look at it chronologically, you have 2019, we're an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Great start, 9-0. And then the next year's COVID, but that spring we win a Big Ten championship. So go back to the NCAA tournament, all the amazing story that is. And then, frankly, my junior and senior year especially, it was not what we wanted. Mm-hmm. And I would think what had really happened was we got used to being successful. And we got used to being good, and we kind of forgot the groundwork that it takes to be good. And in November, when everyone else was still in postseason and we were already training for this coming season, we said that won't be us next year. And from that moment in November, we laid a foundation, and this summer continued it and really decided who we wanted to be as a program and to get the reward of that. You know, we knew making that decision that we were going to be committed, but we weren't guaranteed to have any kind of result for being committed. And to get a little bit of that success and see what that effort really can do has been so remarkable for this group of women. And to see us go the way that we have and start the way we have, I couldn't be prouder. I
mean, it's been an absolute blast to watch you guys dominate on the field and to see the success so far for your team. And I talked to Deani a little bit today, and he said, especially with COVID in 2020, when you guys went on and had a great season, went on to win the Big Ten tournament, but COVID was like a 2.5-year thing, and it wasn't till this year that you guys could come back in June, July, and really start up practice. Would you say that's like a pretty important thing to kind of kick off that early?
Yeah, and the unique thing of it is it was a team decision this year. So there's a lot of options for what soccer players can do over the summer, and frankly, I've done all of them, it feels like at this point. You can play in those leagues that they have, whether it be the USLW or the WPSL or a bunch of them. There's teams in hometowns. You could maybe go back to your college run and train or whatever it is. And we decided as a group that we were going to be committed to each other, and why would I go play for a team in my hometown if I can play with the girls that I'm going to play with every day that I love, that I know are going to be best for me. So we can't train with Deani, we can't see any of our coaches, however we can see our strength and conditioning coach, and he is a remarkable man who's completely bought in. And he said, all right, you're going to be here. Well, we're not doing this sleep in and then work out stuff. No, like you're getting up at 6 in the morning, we're starting workouts, and, you know, Monday through Friday. And then we did our own thing, and we have a bunch of amazing male practice players who come out to practice and train with us all the time. And we got in touch with the men's club soccer team and said, we need some scrimmages. What do y'all want to do? And every Wednesday and Sunday night we played pickup. And just to have those experiences as a team, to have the whole team together, and then 4th of July weekend, all the freshmen joined us. And being there as a group and making that decision that was completely optional and buying in together, I think that completely laid down the foundation for the success that we've had deep into October now.
Would you say that, you know, that brought your team a little bit closer, being able to, I mean, it was a group decision to kind of hang out in June, July and get a little bit more practice in. Would you say that you guys are a little bit closer than maybe in years past because of that?
Absolutely. You know, I've loved almost every girl that I've played with. You know, you have a great teammate relationship being where we are with each other all the time, but I would say that this group is the closest and the most just connected group that we have. And we joke all the time, we know it's going to be a bad practice when we're quiet. We are loud, sometimes too loud, little energetic, but we just love being around each other. It's always laughs and smiles, whether it be a super hard day at practice or just a lighter day. And being around each other and having that fun together. You know, season, frankly, can be taxing. you're being a student athlete, you're doing all the things. Okay, we've been here since June, and it's October, and we're playing games and everything, and it can get really tough, and you get beat down a bit. And so the fact that I still can come to practice every day with a giant smile on my face because I get to be with the people that I love most is truly remarkable, and I think that was all created this summer.
That's a really special bond to have with your team. I can't say too many teams have that same bond. That's awesome that you guys do. And then at the beginning of the year, I kind of noticed you guys had a lot of rain delays and heat delays. And I might have heard from somebody that you guys like to do a lot of dancing in the locker room during those rain delays. Is that true?
Okay. So the bad thing was it started off at Florida Gulf Coast, our first game of the season. And you know, being a group that is young, we really, frankly, even in my career, I haven't really dealt with many of those. It's kind of crazy that we live in the Midwest and I haven't had to.
That is very abnormal.
I know, we've gotten really lucky. And so we go into the locker room at Florida Gulf Coast and we're like, okay, so like, and at that point, we didn't know how long of a delay it would be. You know, we're checking the radar and it didn't look bad. And so we're like, oh, hey, maybe it's like 20 minutes. Cool. All right.
Whatever.
Around 20 minutes goes by and we're like, this might be longer. Okay. So what are we going to do? So naturally, as any group of teams would do, we started playing Name That Tune. So we get, sometimes it tends to be me. I have the weirdest aux on the team. That's 100% a fact. I have a range. And so we like to see who can match my range. And we just started playing Name That Tune and just screaming songs and playing like probably dumb like summer camp games. You know, like all that stuff. We busted all of those out and it was a great time. And I remember just sitting there like we kept watching Lightning and we're like, okay, like so who's got a new game? And yeah, that kind of just started it. And ever since like bus rides, I feel like even a lot of times on bus rides, you know, you have your headphones on, you're watching your Netflix show, you're doing your homework, whatever it is, and all the time you just hear some random girl like start playing like Name That Tune or we're doing this, and we just start playing games. I think our coaches probably don't love it all that much because they're like the bus is a lot louder than it used to be, but it's so much fun and it brings out the best in all of us.
Who is the best at Name That Tune? Who's the best on the team?
Sonia Mehta from Canada is like she just has the biggest range. I think it's so funny, and so we've continued it now. So now in our ice baths post practice, you gotta, you know, those things are brutal. You gotta take your 8 minutes or whatever and make it go quick. So it's always a Name That Tune in the ice bath.
That's
and
so fun.
It's a blast.
That's super fun. What is like your go-to song when you're going to that, or what is your go-to genre when it's your turn on the aux and you gotta play Name That Tune? You gotta try to stump people. What are you going with?
I'm trying to stump people. That's easy. I'm more so looking through my playlist trying to figure out what people would know. Like I said, I have a weird range of music, so I like would go to either like 80s rock or even I grew up. My brother is a theater major and he grows up like building sets and all that. So I grew up going to Broadway shows, watching my brother like do like plays and everything like that. So I have a deep part of me that does love a good Broadway belting song. So if I need to stump people, I have that one easy.
You always have that one in your back pocket. Always. Did you ever play any Hamilton type deal?
Oh gosh, have I ever
Hamilton
played
girl?
Hamilton?
I feel like so that was a bad question.
That was a really, I'm sure if any of my roommates are hearing this right now, they're dying laughing. We would have nights, me and a couple of my best friends, where we would just like. You bring like a charcuterie board, whatever. You put Hamilton on, and it's just a sing-along. So, yes, I probably know every word, and it's my guilty pleasure.
That's your guilty pleasure. Fair enough. I feel like it was everyone's guilty pleasure
at
at
one
point. When it first came out, who wasn't listening to Hamilton?
So here's a weird fun fact. But when Hamilton dropped on Disney Plus, I remember it vividly because it was July 3rd. Of 2020, I believe. And so it was during COVID. Yeah. And I was in Iowa. We were trying to get some training and going, and the team had gotten hit with its first quarantine. So I was in quarantine in like a 14-day isolation, and I did not know what to do. And we were all kind of starting to go a little insane. So naturally, the very smart person I am thought I need to celebrate the 4th of July. So I went on Amazon and I bought an inflatable kiddie pool. Filled it up with a bucket and sat in the kiddie pool, having my little pool day, watching Hamilton. So that is like, because it had just dropped. So that is my vivid memory of when Hamilton first came out, is me sitting in my parking lot in a kiddie pool.
Were you like by yourself?
Oh yeah, just chilling. Like I had like a little Gatorade. There's a video of it. My roommate took it from her window, and it is genuinely the funniest
thing. That is
thing.
so funny. Would you be mad at me if I told you that I've never seen Hamilton?
Dude, come on.
I know. I'm sorry. It's been out on Disney Plus. Yeah. And like, whenever I see it, I'm just like, I need to watch it, but it just hasn't happened yet.
I mean, okay, it is a 3-hour experience. So it is a commitment. I understand, but it's worth it.
Yeah, 3 hours of free time is hard to come by these
That's
days.
valid. That's valid.
But 3 hours for you to come by has seemed to get a little easier for you. You graduated last year, double major. Now you find yourself with a little bit of extra time. What do you do with that time outside of practice?
It's a question I get asked a weird amount. And I think it's because throughout my college career, I have kept myself very busy, having my hands in a lot of different buckets and all that stuff. And this semester's kind of been a bit different for me, and it's been great. It's been nice to enjoy. And I'm realizing this is my transition from college, and I need to enjoy these last couple months because I have been so busy for so long. But yeah, so I graduated with my public health degree in May, and that was my main degree. And thank you.
Congratulations.
And so I'm a double major in sports studies, like you said. So I had 3 semester hours because you're allowed to take less than full time if you're within a semester of graduation.
Gotcha.
So I am allowed to only be in 3 semester hours, which is amazing. And I was trying to figure out what class I needed to take to fulfill it. And naturally, as happens, it conflicted with practice. So I was like, what am I going to do?
Why wouldn't it?
Exactly. Why would it be easy?
Why?
And so I reached out to a professor in the sports studies department that I've worked with a lot. And I was like, let's do something different about this. Let's have some, do something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And last semester into this semester, we started an honors project that's carried through. And it's been really cool. I'm doing a lot of research looking into the impacts of self-portrayal on social media and how that's been affected by NIL.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of quantitative data, collecting and analyzing photographs and social media profiles and stuff like that. And I'm starting to hopefully conduct some focus groups of Iowa student athletes and really see their perspectives of NIL and if it's a gendered experience or not, and kind of write up a research paper about the impacts of that.
That's very interesting. I didn't realize that you could do, so that counts for your 3 semester hours.
Yeah, so because it's an independent study and it fills in it's hitting the requirement of the class that I'm missing, they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so they've been all in. The sports studies department has been amazing and supporting me with that, and yeah, it's been awesome.
Have you found anything yet that's kind of caught your eye a little bit that you want to kind of zoom in on and kind of focus on?
Absolutely. So last semester I did the quantitative part, and so that was all of the photo coding and all this stuff and looking at the basic data analytics of it. And basically the overall trend that we're seeing in our research is self-portrayal on social media for women tends to be a bit more sexualized, and looking at things like, beauty and all those kind of aspects, whereas, men tend to focus on action shots of their sports and certain things like that. And a potential impact of that is there's significantly more NIL deals for women that go based on appearances, whether that be makeup brands, clothing, stuff like that. Whereas for men, it tends to be more sports specific.
Interesting.
And so kind of looking into why that is and what in society has made it that way, where we think we can only market appearance stuff to women and we have to market the sports stuff to men, and why is that? So it's been really, really cool to look into that, and I feel like as an athlete myself, it's something I see. Yeah. And so being able to kind of open that spectrum to people who may not be directly involved has been really awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, you have, like you said, a unique perspective on it because you are a woman athlete who has experienced it a little bit, and now you're doing an in-depth study on it, which is really, really cool. Do you have your own research team that you're kind of in control of, or is it mostly just you?
It's been mostly me. I have my professor, Jennifer Sterling, who's really helped me out and kind of guided me throughout the process, but it's been a lot of me and learning the ins and outs of how to conduct research and what really writing a research paper is. And we actually got reached out to by an author who's writing a book about this kind of thing, and so my paper is going to be a chapter in that book. So being able to leave as a published author in a textbook with this thing that I'm really passionate about has been amazing.
So you are off the ground running is what I'm hearing.
We're trying to be.
So it's going to be, what's the book called? Do you know what it's going to be called?
I have
you have
no idea. No idea.
You're going to have to let us know.
All right, we'll plug it, don't worry.
We absolutely have to plug it. That's super cool. Is there anything else that you kind of want to do with that research besides the book? Do you kind of want to bring it elsewhere or publish it yourself, or what's kind of the plan with it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I definitely will be publishing it myself, just trying to go through that avenue. And if I'm frankly going to put all this work into something, it's something I want to get my voice out and say. And it's interesting. I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. To be completely frank, when you're looking at adulthood, I have decided I do want to continue my soccer career, and that being my focus, whatever that may be. I'm going in with it 2 feet in and just seeing where the journey takes me. And so I have no idea what I want my adulthood to look like, but it's been a good transition into an avenue of a clear disparity that with both my sports background and being a public health major and looking into inequalities could help be something I navigate.
Absolutely. And then you said that you do want to continue with your soccer career?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I've kind of always known. It's been on the forefront for me, like the dream of being a professional soccer player.
Absolutely.
It's unreal. And, you know, I frankly put at this point in time, I have a guaranteed 5 games left of my Iowa soccer career. And we said we weren't going to cry, so I'm not going to cry.
We're going to try our best. No promises, though.
It's a fact that is true at the end of the day. And if that were to be the last 5 games of my soccer career, I wouldn't be ready. I still have so much more in my heart and want to play. And at the end of the day, I may hate it or I may not be good enough or whatever it might be.
Never know.
But I will regret it if I have what ifs. And so I'm going to go in 2 feet in and we're going to see what happens.
That's an awesome, excuse me. You're getting me all choked up.
I was like, geez, that's why we're not crying.
Oh my gosh, you got me all choked up. But that's a great mindset to kind of jump in with. Have you kind of reached out to any teams about playing professional? Has anyone reached out to you, or have you even like really thought about past those guaranteed 5 games?
Yeah, you know, there's so many options, especially with the women's game about, you know, staying in the U.S., going overseas. There's so many different avenues, but frankly, it's something I am not going to let myself think about until I'm done in my Iowa jersey. There's so many more goals where you will get beyond 5 games. I fully believe that with this team, and focusing on that before I get there, but it is something that I'm not going to be done when I'm done here.
Absolutely. Well, I like to hear that because I want to keep seeing you play. That'd be super cool. That'd be super cool to see you continue your soccer career. You talked about how young of a team this Hawkeye team is this year. How have those freshmen and sophomores kind of stepped up into those big roles and kind of helped you guys get to where you are right now?
Yeah, our freshmen are a great group. And, you know, you look at our younger girls in general, and it's been amazing, the commitment. And I think a lot of that, like we kind of talked about, came from this summer, came from setting expectations, setting standards of who we are. And you're either 2 foot in or you're out. And there's no one toe in, there's no dipping halfway. Like, you are all in on this group or you're none. And being frank with that about what that expected. But our group is unreal with the commitment and the energy we have every day. We joke all the time, like, we might not have days where we're the best team. We might not have practices where we're as good as we can be. But the one thing you will never question with this group is our effort. And our freshmen have totally embodied that. And you look at freshmen that have stepped up big on the field, you know, getting the minutes, such as like Millie Greer, Eva Pattison, Sophia Bush. And I don't even consider them freshmen. You know, I'm on a back line. We play a 3-back a lot of the time. And it's a 5th year and 2 freshmen at the end of the day.
There's not a whole lot of other teams in the Big Ten or in the nation that have that.
No, and to have 2 freshmen next to me, it's never like I'm like, oh my God, they're a freshman. Like, no, they have fully embraced their role. They know what they're doing, and I have as much trust as them as I do as anyone else in the field.
And that's so important, especially when you talk about recruiting, and it's changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. I mean, you were recruited before kind of a lot of the changes, but I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, what have been some of the differences that you've seen necessarily? And do you think it's an important thing, those changes in recruiting and even the transfer portal a little bit? I mean, what has been your thoughts and kind of views on that stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know how unique women's soccer recruiting is, and specifically how it used to be.
Yeah.
And that used to be just, we were so young.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went on my first unofficial college visit September my freshman year of high school. Jeez. And I committed to Iowa before I could drive a car. Was like the joke for the longest time. And I'm beyond thankful for my decision, and I know I made a great one and the one that was best for me, but I know not everyone did. And frankly, you know, you're 14, 15 years old. How are you supposed to at the end of the day? And so I think the specific changes in women's soccer recruiting has been so needed and just really crucial to the sport in general, because we were putting a lot of pressure on 14-year-olds. So now the rule is a coach can't contact you before June 15th going into your junior year.
Gotcha.
That being said, like the transfer portal too, I think you're still seeing, you know, the impact of the 5th year in COVID has added a little bit more freedom, because I can go get my degree for 4 years and then I can go somewhere else for an extra year.
Yeah.
And I think you're still kind of seeing the remnants of girls committing when they're 14, 15 years old. Because so many girls that I know, and I'm lucky that my parents didn't let me be one of them, commit to that first offer. Oh my gosh, I got a D1 offer. Boom, I'm going, we're done.
I'm a D1 athlete.
Exactly.
That's the mindset. You want to be a D1 athlete when you're a kid. That's your
100%.
dream.
And so, and I can't blame anyone for that. It's exactly. And so
I would have done that if I was trying to be an athlete at 14, 15 years old.
And so you look at that first offer you get, or the first flashy offer is often what I think what happens for a lot of people. So, oh, this program's really good. I'm going to this program. We're done. And you don't weigh out all your options. You know, I say it a lot. And in my recruiting process, I knew I wanted to stay in the Midwest if at all possible. I'm a big Midwest girl, being from St. Louis, you know, couldn't really leave it. And the Big Ten's the dream for a Midwest Power 5. So, I mean, I had dreams of playing in the Big Ten, but I had no idea that I was good enough. And so my first offer wasn't in the Big Ten. It was more of a mid-major. And I'm like, oh, I could go there.
Yeah.
And then my mom's like, no, you wait, like, you don't need to commit. And I remember, like, I was pressured by that school. They were like, so you're going to commit this week, right? And this was July going into my sophomore year of high school. And my mom's like, no. Like, we can talk at Thanksgiving. Yeah. She doesn't need to commit now. And so I'm so thankful that my parents kind of were like, no, we're going to weigh our options. And I had other offers from schools that you might say are stereotypically more of a prominent soccer school than Iowa. But for me, I had so much faith in the program that Dave was building, and I had so much faith in the Iowa program, but also I wanted to be at a program that I could impact. And I saw myself playing on that Iowa field, being able to make an impact throughout my career and leave a program in a place better than I found it was my biggest goal, even when I was a sophomore in high school. And so I didn't want to be just another player at a good field. I wanted to be able to be someone that could help change a program. And that's what I saw my opportunity in Iowa, and I'm so happy I took it.
Well, I can certainly say that you have done that. So, like, congratulations on that. I mean, what you've done at the University of Iowa. I mean, you look at the list of accolades we listed off at the beginning. I mean, and that was like maybe a 16th of the list that I read. I mean, that it's been incredible to see what you've been able to do here. And one thing that I definitely wanted to touch on that I think you're pretty proud of, and I thought was super cool, was the Golden Herkies last year. You got to host the Golden Herkies with Bailey Ortega. You won an award there yourself. Kind of talk about that experience a little bit.
Gosh, yeah. First of all, I have so much fun. So that was Bailey and I's second year hosting the Golden Herkies together, and we had a blast doing it. I couldn't even tell you how I got roped into doing it the first time. I'm going to be so honest. I don't even remember how that conversation went. But Bailey and I are known for having probably two of the biggest personalities in our little, you know, ISAC especially group. And so we're like, let's just do it. And we went full on with it, and we had an absolute blast. And yeah, you know, I couldn't have dreamed a more perfect way to win Hawkeye of the Year, to do it alongside Bailey and for us to get co-Hawkeye of the Year. Awesome. But I mean, that girl's absolutely amazing. And I have no words for everything that she's done as well. And I think the biggest thing is just to be recognized, you know, and I don't want to say like I need the recognition by any means, but there has been a lot of work on and off the field, and being able to leave a community in a way that I am beyond proud of. You know, being president of ISAC last year was a big opportunity for me to really make a bigger change, and even bigger than inside the Iowa soccer program, and being able to bring some of the initiatives that I've had to the University of Iowa by really focusing on mental health and student athletes and getting a bit more programming there, building relationships interdepartment has been a big goal of mine, as well as I've done a lot of stuff outside of the University of Iowa with certain partnerships and writing a book and creating an international mentorship program and doing just a bunch of different things like that. And to have the community and people that I'm next to every single day recognize that and appreciate that, really, it meant so much to me.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, I was able to read a lot of those things, but even some of those I couldn't even find in a book, because you just have done so many awesome things. I kind of want to talk about that mentorship, the mentor programs the mentor program that you kind of put together. It's to connect girls across the country to college athletes. Can you talk a little bit about like kind of how that became what it is now and what it really is and how people can find more information about it?
Absolutely. So it's a really kind of a funny story, but there's a platform or a network in the soccer community called Girls Soccer Network. And I reached out to them, frankly, for an NIL deal. I was like, I'm gonna maybe get some free merch out of this, like quick flex, I don't know. And I got an email back, and at that time I was in kind of a lighter semester load hour and kind of looking for something to do, frankly. And I was like, is there anything I can do to like help like with your platform, like write a couple articles as a college athlete? And the CEO immediately got on the phone with me, and she's like, I'm looking for an intern, like, you wanna go? And I was like, bet, sounds great.
Say less.
Exactly. And I shot her my resume, and the first thing she said to me in the phone call was, oh my gosh, you were a Girl Scout? And I was like, yeah. So I was a 13-year Girl Scout in high school. I got my Girl Scout Gold Award, which is the equivalent of like an Eagle Scout.
I'm an Eagle Scout.
There we go. There we go.
Look at
Oh my
that.
gosh.
Look at that. We're learning more.
Scouts at USA. Yeah,
Heck
my
yeah.
mom was my Girl Scout troop leader all
That's
through
awesome.
since kindergarten. And that was her first big thing was, oh my gosh, you were a Girl Scout. And she was like,
That's so
I have
cool.
always had this dream of having like the Girl Scouts for soccer. And I was like,
Wow.
let me run with it. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's kind of what the program is based off of loosely in a way, but
Yeah.
for me, it kind of grew into the fact of I never had a bigger sister. You know, I love my older brother to death, but he didn't really help me navigate the soccer community too much. And I didn't like, especially in this navigation of college soccer and what that looks like and what that can be, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was the first athlete in my family, so I really had no college athlete to look up to or ask questions to. And so I realized that there's so many other people probably in this scenario that have this dream and want to do great things, but don't have the education or the people to reach out to for it. And so we created the program called Soccerista United. And at first launch, we recruited 10 college soccer players from across the country, coast to coast, Pac-12, ACC, Big Ten, but also smaller schools because we wanted, you know, all the diversity. And girls signed up, and basically they get mentorship from a current college athlete. We create certain themes throughout the different programming, whether that be confidence on the field, nutrition, recovery, what does a recruiting process look like, what should you be doing, and all these different things. And it's been amazing to connect with girls. You know, I have little mentees from Michigan and Texas and California and all that, and it's fun every once in a while to try to pop up to a game. Like I know there's a girl from Michigan coming to our game in a couple of weeks, or someone from Texas literally flew to Iowa to come to a game. And just to have that community built and know that I can make an impact for something that'll last longer than myself. Like I will say, like I had a mentor's mom email me a photo after I won Big Ten Player of the Week or something like that, and she like had a picture of me in her room and was like, Alice looks at this every night. And so just see that impact that we could make. And I don't think sometimes college athletes realize the potential. And like I dreamed of being a college athlete, and like so many of us did. And you look up to the people that are currently doing it, and you make those role models. So for me, I was like, how can I do this for someone else? And that was my biggest mission through it all.
What has been maybe your favorite story to come out of that? What's been maybe the kind of something that you saw? You mentioned the girl who had the picture of you in her room. Has there been anything else that's been like, wow, that I was able to do that? That is really cool.
The first thing that comes to my mind is there's this funky girl out of Texas who immediately, like, we were on the phone with each other our first meeting, and I was like, just tell me more about you, you know? And she's like, oh, I'm a good soccer player. I am tough. I am strong. I got this. And I was like,
She had the
oh
confidence.
my gosh.
She had the confidence.
I was like, you remind me so much of me. And she was like, I was like, what's your favorite soccer memory? And she's like, one time I was going to score a goal, and I tackled the goalkeeper. And I was just dying. I was like,
Heck
oh my God. I'm like, I love you. Like, you're incredible.
Have you done that before?
Oh, okay, yeah. And so for her just to be like the confident young 9-year-old she is, and you know, this is the big picture topic, but it's so many times in sports, especially in women's sports, we're taught we always have to be humble. We always have to have our head down and be gracious. It's always, you know, you can't act like you want more. You can't say you're good.
No showboating.
Of course, 100%. Yeah. And it's the way that we're taught to act as women, and I completely understand it to a degree, but like we're allowed to be confident.
Yeah.
We're allowed to be proud of ourselves, and that's one of the biggest things that I don't think people understand. And to see that spark in a 9-year-old, and just like for me, it just hit me. I'm like, never lose that. And we talk all the time, me and her, when we talk. I'm like, you better tell me all the times that you won the ball in the game. You better tell me, and just, you know. So there's a couple other girls that would talk, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I guess I did this well. I'm like, no, tell me what you did well. Yeah. And being able to instill in people that they're allowed to be proud of themselves. Absolutely. And they're allowed to be confident. I think that is one of the biggest things that I'm so gracious for the opportunity of.
She's 9 years old.
9 years old.
9 years old.
That girl's the next fireball, guaranteed.
Wow. So the mentorship, it doesn't just vary from like high schoolers that are getting ready to go to college. You go all the way down to elementary schoolers who are playing soccer too?
Yeah, you know, our education base changes for the age and what the kid wants out of it. That's always a question we'll ask the kid and the mom of like, what do you want out of this? But frankly, put anyone that wants mentorship, we'll match them with a mentor. That's not awesome. The hard thing. We have enough college girls that want to help out, and that's the biggest thing I've learned too is like, there's so many girls like me that want to help out, they just don't know how. And so we have enough people, we will always recruit more, but if you want the mentorship, we will find a way to get it to you.
And how many players have you gotten from because I'm assuming you reach out to other schools and
Absolutely.
things like that. How many are now a part of this and that you've grown on and have been able to be mentors to some of these younger athletes?
Yeah, so we're now in our third season, as we call it, for Soccer East United, and it's been amazing. And we've let girls go on that continue the program because they love it, and other girls have graduated and are now professional soccer players that were once mentors or moving on to go to grad school or law school, like a couple of them have. And just to see that has been cool. But I think at this point we've had over 35 college mentors from all divisions of soccer, from national champions in UCLA last year have been mentors, all the way down to a Division III player who wants to talk about the perks of going Division III for some people. And we totally believe in that platform as well. So it's been really awesome to see the range and the journey that people get to go on.
That is super cool. So I know obviously you've mostly focused on the soccer side of those things, but have you seen those mentorships kind of pop up across other sports, or is soccer really kind of the first one that's doing this?
To my knowledge, soccer is the one that's done it first. I have no idea about others, but it's been a cool journey, and I've definitely gotten that question a bit more. Maybe how could I do this with this sport? And so to see that potentially spread has been really awesome.
That is really cool. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in the future some baseball or football players kind of take that on. Because I've got a brother right now who's getting ready to go to college, and he wants to play baseball in college.
Yeah.
I was trying to get recruited for track. I obviously didn't end up doing that, but he's getting recruited for baseball, and we went through the recruiting process with track, but I kind of knew that there's a chance I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really know where to go. He doesn't know how to necessarily email a coach or things like that.
Exactly.
Or when to go down for a visit or what questions to ask. I feel like that is something that is really important to you and then this program as well that you've built. And I feel like that's a really cool thing to be able to say that you've been a part of.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of it.
That's awesome. But then another thing that you've been able to do is kind of set up some mental health things. You had the mental health game this last weekend. Kind of talk about some of the other things that you've done to promote mental health at the University of Iowa.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that it's been really impactful for me in the journey that I've been on with it. And it's something I'm very open about. Is I've had my own struggles with mental health, and especially like anxiety and perfectionism is something that I very much attribute to myself. And going through the stigma of, oh my gosh, like, is it really okay to see a sports psychologist? Like, that's I can't do that. And
you're tough. You can't be
exactly,
going to do that.
Exactly. And then finally, okay, I'll go to the sports psychologist. And then she's like, well, maybe we should go on anxiety medication. And I was like, no, like, I can come talk to you, but like taking medicine means that I'm ill, and I'm not ill. And going through that stigma myself, I think it really opened my eyes to how we're taught. We're taught to be mentally tough. And if someone has a definition of what mentally tough is, I would love to hear it, because I think that's one of the most insane sayings in sports, and I still have no idea what it means. Because to me, mentally tough means being able to embody all of your emotions, both positive and negative, and then using them to create a best performance. Because I can use my great energy or my negative energy, anything that I'm feeling, understanding that that's not who I am, and use it to keep me going and keep me motivated. And learning that was one of the biggest things. So when I first started working with ISAC especially, and I became chair of our health and well-being committee, I was like, what can I do to leave a bigger impact? We have so many people at the school that want to help. And I would hate for a role that I have just to be something on a resume and not to do. So myself, as well as a lot of the team in the SAS Center and our sports psychologist, Aubrey Kinney, came up with this idea of Hawkeye identity is what we called it. And it's a program that went on in the spring of 2022. And the whole idea is you are not your sport. As an athlete, it is so easy to attribute yourself to your sport. I'm a soccer player. Well, I'm so much more of a human being than a soccer player.
There's
exactly.
more outside of that.
And, our sport becomes our identity at a certain point. Like, I've been playing soccer for 20 years, It's crazy to say. Apparently, I'm old. I keep getting reminded. But
all the younger players
exactly.
And
so, but it's something that's so easy to do. And so we had a panel of not only current student athletes, but previous student athletes at Iowa that have been open about their mental health when they're an athlete. Current student athletes, as well as coaches. One of the biggest coaches on there was Tom Brands.
Wow.
And being able to talk about mental health and saying we're going to have a conversation about it. And that night, I remember we invited all the student athlete body as well as all the coaches, and there was a coach from every single sport present. I sat next to Kirk Ferentz and Fran McCaffrey. So to see the coaches that you see on the media all day, take this as seriously was something that I respected so much out of. And I think there was over 250 student athletes in the room, and we just had a conversation about what mental health is and how we can be better. And to call it out like that meant the world. And to have that many people show up and support also showed me that it was something we needed. And that's probably one of the programming I'm most proud of, being able to, you know, ground roots, grow it, and see it happen the way it did. But I couldn't be more proud of everything.
And that's beyond soccer. You're reaching out to all these other sports. You mentioned football and basketball. You know, they're in the media a lot. They get a lot of attention, but you're able to reach out and then be like, hey, this is something we can talk about. This is something we are going to talk about. And this is where you can talk about it.
Absolutely.
That's so cool, Samantha. I hope you know that you were like the coolest person.
Oh
I've
my
ever
gosh,
talked to.
stop it.
This has been awesome. I can't thank you enough for being on our first episode of Meet the Hawkeye. This has been beyond what I could have hoped for. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in for our first episode of Meet the Hawkeye. Be sure to check out the Daily Iowan website for more updates on upcoming interviews. From the University of Iowa, I'm AJ Reisetter. This is Samantha Cary. We cannot thank you enough for watching our first episode.
Woo!